Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Beloved students of class 7 English version Rajaputra Model College, hope by the grace of Almighty you are well. This is Muhammad Ashraful Azim, lecturer in statistics, English version day shift Rajaputra Model College, is going to deliver a lecture on 11th chapter of class 7, namely information and data. My beloved students, after completing today's class, I expect that you'll be able to know the definition of data and information, then the classification of data, what is frequency distribution, and a diagram which is histogram. Let's see what is data. Actually, the subject is statistics. It's a branch of applied mathematics, and in research the statistics is highly used. So data with the raw materials of statistics. Firstly, it's a plural form of datum. The singular form is datum and the plural form is data. So data with the raw materials of statistics. Here the definition is given completely. Data are the collection of raw facts and figures from any sets of inquiry for the purpose of statistical analysis. Later on, what is the definition of here we see that the definition of data are the collection of raw facts and figures from any facts of inquiry for the purpose of statistical analysis. For example, is students test score is one piece of data. Now what is information? When data is organized, here we see when data is processed, organized, structured or presented in a given context so as to make it useful, it is called information. Now for example, the average score of a class or of the entire school is information that can be derived from the given data. Now the classification of data. Mainly there are two types of data. One is primary data and another one is secondary data. There are two types of data, primary data and secondary data. Now what is primary data? The data which is collected directly from the source, that is primary data. For example, surveys and focus groups discussion. That means if you collected data directly from the source, then you will get a data and that data is primary data. Now what is secondary data? The data already collected. You may collect the data from any organization, from other persons. In that moment it is already collected, but you are not collected directly from the source. When you collect the data indirect source, then that type of data is known as secondary data. So here the data which have already been collected by other sources, such data are called secondary data. And for the example, researching the internet, newspaper articles and company reports, that is the example of secondary data. On the other hand, you may say that there are two types of data, which is unorganized data and organized data. Actually this is not the classification of data, but when we collect the data we get it haphazardly, disorganized way. In that moment that data is known as unorganized data. Now another one is organized data, and we arrange the data in many ways. We may arrange the data by frequency distribution also. Anyway, so you may say that there are two types of data, which is unorganized data and organized data, but mainly there are two types of data, which is primary data and secondary data. Now let's see. To construct a frequency distribution, you should know what is range, what is number of classes. These two formula, the range equal to highest value minus lowest value plus 1. When I will discuss the construction of a frequency distribution, in that moment I will explain detail the formula, range and number of classes. Now, what is histogram? It's very most important topic in the chapter. Frequency distribution, when represented by a graph, then we get such type of figure. This is known as histogram. To construct a histogram, along x-axis you have to represent the class interval, and along y-axis you have to represent the frequency. After that, according the against the classes, you will get different types of polygon, different types of rectangle, and completely in between the rectangles there must not be any gap, and complete the figure is known as histogram. So that type of figure is known as histogram. If you represented a frequency distribution table on a graph, then you will get such type of figure. Now, what is frequency distribution? What is frequency distribution? It is nothing but a table. If you represent the statistical data by a table, then that table is known as frequency distribution table. Here completely the definition is written. Frequency distribution is statistical table which shows the set of all distinct values of the variables arranged in order of magnitude, either individually or in groups with their corresponding frequencies side by side. Now, to construct a frequency distribution table, you have to follow the sequences. Firstly, you have to determine the range, later on number of classes, class interval, and using the tally marks, after that you will get a frequency distribution table. So this is overall the basic of the chapter. Now for you, there is a creative question, which is the weights in kg of 30 students of class 7 of a school are as follows. Now, number A, what is the range of data? Actually, we know that the formula to determine the range, and we know that range equal to highest value minus lowest value. Firstly, you must select the highest value and the lowest value from the given data. Then if you subtract the lowest value from the highest value and one is added to the difference, then you will get the range. So what is the range of the data? After writing the formula to determine the range, then you may calculate the range. Now arrange the data both in order. Here both in order means ascending order and descending order. So you must arrange the data in ascending order and descending order. Since the question is in B, so marks of B is 4, that is why you must have arranged the data both in ascending order and descending order, though there is mentioned that arrange the data in both in order. Now, what is making frequency distribution table? Here the question is make a frequency distribution table. Making frequency distribution table, actually it is your homework. I would like to say that this is your homework. How can we make a frequency distribution table? Now we're going to discuss, and this is example number 1 of your textbook. In your textbook, page number 182, here the temperatures in degrees Celsius of a city of 31 days of January are given below. Prepare frequency distribution table. The temperatures are integers. So these are the temperatures of 31 days of January in a city, and now we have to prepare a frequency distribution table. What is the system? I would like to discuss here. Firstly, you must write what is the highest temperature. From the given data, we see that the highest temperature is 25. Then what is the lowest temperature? In the given data, we see that the lowest temperature is 9. Now we have to determine the range. We know the formula to determine the range is highest value minus lowest value plus 1. So 25 minus 9 plus 1, that is 16 plus 1 equal to 17. So the range of the given data is 17. Now sometimes it is mentioned that the class interval, since here class interval is not mentioned, that is why freely we may consider the class interval is 5. So let the class interval is 5. Now the formula to determine the number of classes is range divided by class interval. We obtain the range is 17. So here 17, and we considered the class interval is 5, so it is 5. Now 17 divided by 5 equal to 3.4. For sure that number of classes must not be broken, it must be an integer. So when we get the quotient as a decimal number, in that moment we must write in integer. So 3.4 is approximately equal to 4. So the number of classes equal to 4 of the given data. Now by this way we will construct, firstly we will prepare the to make a frequency distribution table. First we have to write such a way. Later on we can follow the table in our textbook. Now we understood that here the number of classes is 4. Now the frequency distribution table to construct, we must construct 3 columns. First column for class interval, second column for tally marks. Against the class we will write the frequency. After that what is the total of the frequency, then we will get a complete table. This table is known as frequency distribution table. Now class interval, here this is the temperature, so it is written this temperature classes. The lowest value is 9 and the class interval is 5. So first class started from 9 and up to 13, second class 14 to 18, third class 19 to 23, and fourth class is 24 to 28. Since the highest value is 25, that is up to 28, the class is completed, and we need not to make a new class because the highest value is 25. Now if we follow the class given data, in between 9 to 13 we get 10 values, and that is why tally marks when more than 4, after 4 we'll write that type, write such a way, that is each and every frequencies at best 5 ways. So 5 and 5, this is 10. Against the second class this is 13, third class this is 7, and against the fourth class we get 1, and the sum of the frequencies is 31. So we have completed a frequency distribution table, and this is the system to construct a frequency distribution table. So by this way, if we follow this system, we must construct a frequency distribution table, and that is why this is your homework. I expect that you understood how can you calculate or construct a frequency distribution table. Now as homework you will complete this creative question. This is our today's class, and there's only one topic left, that is to construct a histogram. In my last class I will explain how can you construct a histogram. Thank you very much.